Today we're talking about patchwork. Patchwork is amazing, it's really fun and it's very popular among all the beginners because you can have and you can achieve these big projects with only little knowledge. So today we're going to have a look at 10 tips so your patchwork projects are really on point. If you're new around here, my name's Irene and I like sewing about anything, clothing, decor, accessories. So if you're like me and like sewing and making special personalized items for you and your home, consider subscribing because I upload twice a week and that way you don't miss anything. And you can also find me on Instagram. And the first tip is to use the same fabrics, the same composition. For example, if you're going to sew something with a poplin, get all your poplins the same so you don't have any problems with some fabrics that stretch too much and some others that don't. So that way you have better results and your panels will look really straight and square. For example, this skirt I made with all the little pieces I had left as a memory skirt. So it is true that at some points some of the seams are a bit crooked and I didn't get as much straight lines as I wanted it, just because of that, because there were fabrics of any kind, so they behave differently. And even though I know the mistakes, I still love it, of course, because it's really fun. But if you want amazing and sharp results, get all your fabrics the same. And one thing we all know already in the sewing room is that we have to wash and iron our fabrics before we use them. We have to wash them just in case they shrink, especially all the natural fibers, all the cottons and linens are going to shrink a little bit and maybe even lose their shape. So we have to wash them just in case and iron them or press them, just because if you are going to cut something and it's not perfectly flat, you're going to end up with a weird pattern and you don't want that. Even if it's millimeters, you want it as straight and as sharp as possible so your project looks perfect. And for that, we have to make a few steps before we start. And because patchwork is all about color, you have to make sure you choose your colors right and your patterns. I did this, it's an IKEA hack with all tablecloth, not tablecloth, what's the name of this? Dishcloths?
The ones you wipe your dishes with.
Kitchen towels. Yes, I think so. You know the ones I mean. So it wasn't my idea to combine them all. I just got a packet of them and put them all together. But if you have a look at them, they all have something in common, and it is black. Even though it's flowers and stripes and lemons, it's 3 different patterns, you have the color to match with them, and that's really important. So it is cohesive and it looks nice. And I have 3 different patterns. It could have been crazy, but if you make sure that your stripes or your spots or your polka dots have something in common, it will look nice probably. So just make sure about that it is cohesive, so it's not too crazy and it has stuff in common. Of course, all of this depends on your liking, but polka dots or stripes combine really well with flowers. And then if you have something patterned but without a shape or anything in particular, it can go really well with plain fabrics. So just make sure of that. And then, of course, we have exceptions. For example, again, my little skirt is just a lot going on there, but it is nice, or at least I like it. It has every color, it has every pattern, and I think it works because it repeats quite a lot. It has a lot of the same, so you can see sort of a pattern going on, and I think it works. And of course, design is key, and with the colors you've chosen, with the patterns of the fabrics, it's going to look different. There are many different designs and many patterns. For patchwork, you can just make little squares, and it's really nice. It's pretty. You can make rectangles, you can make just straps of fabric, you can make there are some called windmills, there are others that are sort of a window. It's really nice. And then you can also go even further with fabric like paper piecing and make different shapes and make something like more accurate and more elaborate. But it just depends. For example, this one is a method called quilt as you go, and it's really easy because you're sewing your fabric, your wadding and your bag all at the same time. So it's really easy to do. It's fast and it's just easy and really eye-catching as well. And for example, because you have just the straps, you can make squares first and then sew it to the whole thing, but you don't have to, and it looks really nice. So design is key, and you just have to choose. And because it's all about little pieces that go together, your cuts must be really precise. You cannot just have, if you're making a square of 10 by 10, you cannot make a square that is 10 by 10 and a half, because your seam is going to open that way, and then they won't go together nicely and your corners won't match, and that is really frustrating, and your eye can really see it. It's not like it has a good view from a distance. No, you'll see it. So you have to make sure that your cuts are really precise, and for this, if you have the right tools, it helps a lot. If you have a cutting mat and a rotary cutter, those help a lot. And if you have one of these, a 1/4 inch presser foot, they help a lot as well, because they keep your seam allowance the same. But if you don't, you can cut with your scissors, being really careful, and you can use the lines in the sewing machine to help you keep your seam allowance straight. So just make sure you're doing it just properly, with patience. And another thing we're going to use a lot while doing patchwork is our iron. It's really useful and it's a must. You have to iron, you have to press your seams once you've done sewing, because they're going to settle down better and join better to the next row. Because if you don't, you won't be able to do it basically. They won't settle down, and then if you press it at the end, maybe you have bumps or you have irregularities in your seam. So you have to make sure you press your seams. It's going to take a while, but do it. And as there are different kind of threads and fabrics and interfacing, there are also different kinds of wadding, and you can get different ones depending on what you're going to do. For example, my table runner has a thicker wadding, one of the spongy ones, and I took some layers off because I thought it was too much, but they sell thinner ones. But the skirt, I didn't want it with wadding because it would have been a bit strange. So what I did is that I interfaced the top fabric so all the seams stayed in place, and because there were different kinds of fabric, they would look flat and didn't wrinkle or lose shape. So I think it was enough. And for example, of course, you can hack your patchwork as well. If you're going to make maybe some coasters, you can add inside some old tablecloth you have around, kitchen cloth, some old kitchen cloth you have around, or if you're going to make a nice blanket for someone, you can use a proper blanket inside, so it's warm and cozy. It all depends, and there are different ways of doing things, and it's all good. And one very important thing is the way you finish your seams at the end. Maybe you've done a lot of work and right at the end, if you don't finish it properly, it will look weird, or maybe your seams get out of place or it frays. So the normal thing to do is to finish with a bias tape. It's amazing how nicely it works. All the seams go inside, all the raw edges, and you don't see anything. And it's a pop of color. It looks really nice. But you can do things differently as well. For example, I made this one not with any bias tape, but with the fabric behind. I left it a bit wider on the side, and then I folded it as if it was the bias tape, and it looks just like that. I think it looks really good. It's a nice finish. I've used it more than once, this idea, and it looks really nice. And the skirt, for example, I didn't use any bias tape because I thought that maybe that way it would look like a blanket made into a skirt, and I just wanted the patchwork to pop out, not the rest of it. So I just made some stop stitching, folding my fabric and my lining inside. So it's just different ways of doing things. The important thing is that it is nicely finished, so it looks amazing. And after you're done, try to organize your fabrics by color or by size so you know what you have, because it's really frustrating if you're thinking about a project and you say, oh, I have this wonderful fabric, it's just perfect for it, but then you don't have enough. So you can even write the amount you have, the centimeters, and put it with a pin in there, so you are sure and you are not upset when you don't have enough. And one extra tip, because we've done 10 already, is patience. Patience is always good in the sewing room, but with patchwork as well. There's lots of cuts in patchwork, lots of seams, lots of pressing, and you need to do it with care, with love, and with patience, because if not, it can go really wrong. So just be patient. It's going to look amazing when you're done. So just look forward to it and keep calm. And with this, we are done with the patchwork tips, unless you have some more you would like to share with everyone, and that way we can all make use of them. Let me know in the comments what you thought, if you liked all of this, and if you like sewing, because I think it's amazing what you can achieve, what you can personalize, and what you can have. Good quality stuff that's going to last and you're going to love forever. Bye!